Welcome to another Demarcation Media action figure review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the JoyToy Warhammer 40,000 Blood Angels Veterans Laenatus. Laenatus? I'm assuming Laenatus is how you pronounce it. That looks like it. It's a very Roman name. So this is actually only the second JoyToy figure that I've ever gotten. The first one was a Ultramarines Intercessor, and I was pretty impressed with the figure. He was pretty good. There was a few limitations to the posing, and some of the joints were a little loose, but overall he was a really solid figure, and I was very interested to see how some of the other figures would be. Now, on my package for this guy, the side says that this figure is the Blood Angels Primaris Lieutenant Ultramarine. That is not at all what this figure is, but that did make me want to look at a Blood Angels figure next, but also just because I really like the color red. I decided not to do Ultramarine because this dude caught my eye. I started with the Ultramarine Intercessor because he's kind of the most iconic of the Warhammer figures, at least from my point of view as a person who is not a Warhammer aficionado. I really know very little about Warhammer. So I wanted to try a figure who was less iconic, less standard, I guess you could say, but not one that was super over the top. And this guy seemed like the perfect pick. He's got a bunch of different stuff going on and some accessories that really caught my eye. But the first thing I wanted to do was compare the packaging. Now for me, packaging means very little. It's just the method in which the figure gets from, the store to me, basically. But I know for some people, they do like to collect the packages. And if you're hoping to have a nice uniform display of boxes, that is not the case here because these are very, very different boxes. We've got the black look over here, and then this one has a lot going on. General design is similar, and then the back looks more similar, but I was kind of surprised to see that this box was so different. It's pretty interesting. There's like a map of something, some planet surface or something back here. Got the Blood Angels marking. It almost looks like a book cover slightly. Got the JoyToy logo. Some creepy looking mechanical skull thing there, and then on the back we get to see all of the accessories. That sword is the one that really caught my eye. So let's go ahead and get this guy open. So if you're wondering where I got this, I got it from Big Bad Toy Store. I'll put the link in the description to this guy's listing. Big Bad Toy Store is really good. I've never had any issues with them. They're a little slow to ship lately just because they've been getting so many orders. But I highly recommend them. They have good customer service. So we're going to pop this open, close up my knife. Comes wrapped. It's like an import figure when it comes wrapped like this. Some Gundam kits come like this. Oh my gosh, it doesn't want to come off in one piece. Okay, there we go. Got the box open. Oh, it's a little dinged. But again, for me, that doesn't really matter. If you had ordered this from Big Bad Toy Store hoping to get it in perfect condition, you might be disappointed, but that doesn't matter to me. Also, somewhere on here, oh yeah, this is not a toy, and they have it in multiple different languages. So, in case you were wondering, this is not a toy. It is a collector's action figure. Let's go ahead and get this open. Slide him out. Comes like this. You can see everything all there. Looking nice. It looks like you can actually remove the dagger from the sheath. I assumed so, just based on the images. I almost went for the Blood Angels Intercessor, but this guy just had a very interesting look. I'm not sure what this thing on his jetpack, jump pack, whatever this is. I'm not sure what that is. I don't know if that's the thing that denotes him as a veteran. But he's got this really cool gold helmet, just right off the bat. Joints feel decent right off the bat as well. Yeah, actually, he feels a lot less loose right away than the Ultramarine did. So let's let him stand over there for a moment. Here's his pack. This little thing, I'm assuming it can be removed. Yeah. Oh, interesting. I expected it to be pegged in, like the peg be on the gold part, but instead it's on the pack. Very nice. We have, well, of course, the sword. Let me see if I can get it out. Ooh, I like that. That is very cool. I like that a lot. We have what appears to be a staple for the Warhammer figures, at least the Space Marines. Empty sheath, not sheath, holster. Dagger, very interesting dagger. We have a small, is this a bolter pistol? Because the gun that came with the other figure was bigger than this. But there's that, and then we have an array of hands as well as some desiccant. The desiccant is, of course, a very important part of the action figure. It's his little backpack. No, I'm just kidding. That's just something you throw away. Okay, so let's go ahead and get in and take a closer look at this guy. I'm pretty excited. He's looking really nice. There he is with his jetpack on. So there's a couple things that I want to talk about first. The first thing, oh, that's stiff. The first thing I want to point out is this splatter right here. I'm not really sure. Let me look at it closer. I'm not really sure what that is. It looks like some sort of excess junk. I don't know if I'll be able to clean it off or not. That's kind of weird. I'll try to clean it off in a minute. The other thing I want to talk about is the smell. You can actually smell this guy, and by smell, I mean, like, you know, when you go into a hardware store and you go, or a shoe store, you go into the section with like rubber stuff, that smell, like it almost gasoline-ish. That's the smell that I'm getting from this guy. And that's a little weird. I mean, I kind of understand it, but it's a little concerning to me. That's the smell. I'm sure it will fade over time, but it's just not... It's not really the thing you want to smell coming off of your action figure right away. And then I also wanted to give you guys size comparisons right away, because if you are a newcomer to the JoyToy line like I am, then you'll want to know exactly what size these guys are. So here is a Mega Construx figure. Comes up roughly to his knee. There is a Lego figure, also kind of the same. And then here is a Star Wars Black Series figure. So these figures are 1/18th, I believe. So they are smaller than your obviously your standard 6-inch figure, but they're not super tiny. And then I also wanted to give a little side by side with the intercessor, so you guys can see the difference. The general frame right off the bat is the same, but you can see the chest is very different. This guy has more sculpted armor, so it's kind of got like abs and stuff, which is a little funny to me. And then he's got painting on the knee, and then he's got like actual molded stuff on the lower leg here, and then he's got this like tabard piece here as well that you can bend. We'll look at that closer in a minute, but I just wanted to give you a side by side so that you can see the differences. I know for some of you guys who may be seeing this video, you are very familiar with the JoyToy line in general, so this is nothing new. But for those of us who are new to this line, this is kind of good to see the side-by-side and how different these figures are too. Getting in a little closer, we can kind of see the paintwork on his helmet a little bit better. I do like the contrast between the red of the armor and the very nice shiny gold of the helmet. It's kind of a slightly bronze gold, and then we have some silver for the piping, and then the green eyes. Looks very nice. I did get that little spot to come off. It was basically just, I don't know, excess of the stuff that they use for the wash, which makes me wonder if I'm smelling the stuff that they use for the wash. I do think that maybe that's the case, but some water and some scrubbing got it off, which does make me think that maybe you could take off more of the wash if you tried. Not really sure. Don't really care to try. But yeah, I don't really know why that was there. But I imagine that maybe you would run across it on other figures, maybe not. I mean, you can see some of the wash stuff globbed up a little bit more around the belt here. And then it looks like there's a little bit of like gray or something there. I don't know if it's a scratch or what. Maybe it's the white showing through. But yeah, so we have a lot of differences actually. Like just at first glance, even between the Ultramarine and this guy, not a ton seems different. But the shoulder here now has this little like, almost looks like olive branch texturing on it. And then this side has this big, I don't know what you want to call this, big flare out section with like these spikes that look very similar to what he's got on his back. It's got kind of like red jewels on it. Then you see the yellow droplet of the Blood Angels. And then here we get to see the winged version. Then he's got the same thing on his chest, along with the detailing there. The gray looks pretty nice, and the texturing is good. He's got a little skull on his abs, which is kind of funny, actually. And then you can see his little, I'm assuming that's the veteran crown, whatever that is. I'm sure if any of you guys know about Warhammer, in the comments will let me know. And the same detail on the jump pack, jetpack thing. I believe this is almost exactly the same as the Ultramarines, but it's got this extra piece glued onto the top so you can add the crest. And then around the back, we have this section where it's like 3 pouches, which can move around, and you can remove it. Basically, any of these accessories that move around can be removed because they're just ball joint in there. That is not something that the Ultramarine came with, which is pretty cool to see. I like the highlighting on the edges. Then there's this tabard cloth hanging down, which gives him a more knight-esque look. And this is soft, so you can like bend it. I've heard people be a little concerned about how the soft plastic lasts. I have no clue how well this is going to last. It does have some nice like gradient paintwork on it, and it looks like it doesn't really get too much in the way for opposing the legs, which is good. And then around the front, we've got the same thing. With this one, as you bend it, you can kind of, I don't know if you can see this, but it kind of wrinkles the paint a little. And that, to me, is a little bit concerning. I don't really know why it's doing that. That does make me think that it could scratch off or something. Not really sure about that. It's a little weird. The back one doesn't seem to really do that. So, I don't know. Maybe the back one's not actually fully painted the white color, whereas maybe this was originally a gray. Not totally sure. That is odd, though. He has got this little seal thingamajig here. The Emperor's seal, I'm assuming. You can bend this. I don't think you can remove it, though. And then he's got the little tube pouch that the Ultramarine came with. It kind of interferes a little bit with his side skirting armor because it doesn't quite like fit underneath. It sits fine on the box. It looks like maybe you just have to have the leg armor tilted up and back. And also interesting to note that the box version does not have all the black around the belt. So that's something to keep in mind. Then he's also got these small holstered pistol of some sort, which is the same as what you see on the Ultramarine, but this time it is a black holster. And then the lower leg, we have a little scroll-looking thing that says Angels. And then the other leg has a little skull, kind of a slightly comical-looking skull. So that's pretty cool. As for articulation, I mean, he's got pretty much the standard. He's got the ball joints for the thighs. He's got rotation. I can actually move the rotation. Oh my gosh. On the Ultramarine, it was so stuck. You can move out a little bit, but you're kind of limited there. But you can swing forward. This does interfere a little bit, but if you're clever, you can kind of work around it. You got the bend at the knee, which is pretty nice for such a bulky figure. The articulation at the feet is nice. You get a toe hinge, which I think is pretty pointless, but I guess some people like it. And then the ab crunch is forward and back. The waist unit is kind of a floater, so it can just move around. The arms have a bicep swivel and a double jointed elbow. It kind of gets caught a little bit. Both of the arms have this big armor plate. You can see same here, but the Ultramarine had this arm, whereas both of these arms have the extra armor, which is kind of a cool change of pace. The shoulders are rotation, and we have the same issue as with the Ultramarine, where you don't really get much movement out of the arms outward because of the way that the armor is put on. So I have made a video fixing this, so I'll put a little card or something in the corner, and I'll put it in the comments so you can fix it, and then you can get that kind of articulation out of him, which is so much better. So very cool. Overall, same articulation, limited in a few spots, slightly more limited perhaps by the cloth, the faux cloth. Maybe using real cloth would have been better, but overall, it's pretty impressive for such a bulky armored dude. I'd say just, fix the shoulders and you're good to go. Also, another thing to note, the collar piece is different between the two, just because of this chest plate being the more sculpted version. So let's look at the accessories. This is the first one. This is the little, I'm assuming this is a bolter pistol. There's some weird things going on with this. Mainly, this was sticking out. The mag was sticking out, and there you could actually see like some painted up bullets in there. And I pushed it in a little bit. Now it's in there, but I can't get it to come back out. It's really firmly in there. Ugh. I don't really know how to get it back out. The other one, the one from the Ultramarine, that is not the case. You can see the little line, but if you turn it to the front, you can see there's no way to remove that. I had read some reviews or something about people having the mags being removed, and some people got theirs without mags, but I don't know. I can't get mine out. But you can see the difference. The size is fairly significant. This definitely looks more like a pistol. This is not the rifle, because I know there's a bigger size, but this definitely looks like a pistol. It's very nice looking. It's got a darker silver than the other gun, and it's well put together. You can see the seam line, but I don't know, that doesn't bother me. The black is very nice. I like how the barrel is. It's a nice looking little piece. And you do get a trigger finger to go with that. They're kind of a pain to fit in the hands because the hands are kind of odd, which will actually bring the rest of the hands in. It's pretty much the same lineup as the Ultramarine. You get the widespread hand, which looks pretty nice. You get a pointy finger hand or finger gun. You get a holding hand and a fist hand. I would have liked fists for both hands, but that's a little bit asking much. But all of them have the wash on them, some a little bit more than others. Paintwork is decent for the most part. I mean, there's some messy edges for sure, but it's decent for the most part. But yeah, these are rather stiff hands. These feel even more stiff than some of the others. So like the dagger, like this is going to be an absolute nightmare to get into the hand. That is the one thing that I really don't like about these figures. It's a pain to get stuff into their hands. And it's also a pain to swap the hands out because sometimes you'll pull the whole joint out Yeah, it's a struggle. All of it's a struggle. Here's that empty holster. Obviously, you cannot put anything in there. It's just if you want something different, you can pop off one of the other pouch setups and then add this. So, I mean, it's a nice add-on, and it looks nice. It's got the gray edging on the black. Very nice. And then we have this little dagger. I have no idea what or if any significance this dagger has. I don't know, is this something veterans have, or is this just another weapon? But it's got the little teardrop, blood drop gem. There is, unfortunately, no way to hook it to his belt. That would have been nice. But it is an actual sheath, and it's got little tassels. And then here is the dagger. It's got a very long handle for such a short blade, and it's got this weird little hole thing there. But it's very nice looking. It's got a slight gradient to the blade. I wonder if they, I don't know, did they apply the wash while this was partially in there? But like the tip is more shiny. Well, yeah, it's more shiny. And then the back side is a little bit more dull. So maybe like he stabbed something and scratched the surface. The bronze gold looks nice. The paintwork is all pretty good. Overall, this is a very nice accessory. Kind of just fits right in there. You draw it out. And it doesn't fit too hard. It actually seems like it fits better like that. It doesn't fit too hard in there. I'm not too worried about scratching the surface. With some figures that I have, like the Figma Link, putting the swords in the sheath means you'll leave marks on the blade. This doesn't really feel like that's going to be the case. So that's really good. I like that. And it is a little twisted when it's in there. So I don't know if that's on purpose or not. Just be aware. And then the accessory that I was really excited for, this sword. I have a thing for swords, like especially big armored characters using swords. Now I believe this is what's called a power sword. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's got this little like conduit and a little glowy light that actually has like silvery blue spreading out, so it looks like an actual glow. That's pretty sick. Same on both sides, and you have the same kind of shinier tip gradient back here. You've got a very angry looking skull who looks like he's got a mallet through his head as the cross guard kind of ornament. And then we have a nice handle and then a little round pommel. I really like this. I like how it's shaped. It's kind of a stocky sword, but it looks deadly. I like this one a lot. So let's actually go ahead and see if we can get this guy to hold it. There he is with the sword. It looks really nice. He has serious knight vibes, more so than the Ultramarine, just because he's got this little tabard thing and then the sword. It sits in his hand decently well. It wasn't too hard to get in. I was expecting it to be more difficult, but it's mainly just getting the thumb to wrap around. And then also the handles of these things are usually too thick to actually fully sit in the lower fingers. So, because they don't shape the hand so much at the bottom. So you kind of get this little odd, it looks like he's loosely holding it kind of look. But that's only odd from certain angles. And then you can kind of, get him to reach across, hold it with two hands if you so choose. You can use this to kind of imitate him holding it with two hands, or you could actually try and fit both his hands on there. That would be a pain. I do not recommend that. Getting this open hand onto the wrist joint, oh my gosh. It's so hard, because these are like soft plastic, but not really. So it was a pain to get that on there. I'm so glad this little veteran crest thing can be removed, because I was afraid I was going to break it just trying to get the hand on, like accidentally snap it. But I do like this sword a lot. Like, this is a fantastic looking accessory. It's just, I love posing characters with swords. The chain sword was nice, for sure, but there's something about this sword that I just like so much better. It's just so cool. That is very nice. And they look great side by side. I like how different they look. And then, you can see, here's the gun. Let me see if I can, oh gosh. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this on camera, trying to get him to hold this little pistol thing. Oh, wait. We're getting something here. We're getting something here. Wait, did that work? Oh, the lower finger is kind of bent. Well, yeah, it's a pain. You kind of have to shape the fingers. I'm trying to show this on camera so you guys know and kind of understand maybe a little bit of what to expect with these things. But yeah, it's a pain. It is a struggle. It is the one big consistent downside I see to these figures is the hands just are weird, but it's on there like so. The bottom fingers are mostly in place. They look a little bent and weird, but I don't really know if that's gonna change much. You do get holding hands for both sides if you want to have him hold the sword on both sides, but you only get one side for the shooting hand, unless you want him to shoot with his finger guns, which is an option. And then, obviously, if you want him to use the dagger, you have to put that in his hand. I've also seen on the box, they show him holding the sheath in his hand, and oh my word, what? How would you do that? You'd have to, like, pry the hand open to do that. That's weird. I mean, I might try that eventually, but yeah, I don't really know if there's a better way to do that. I don't really know if heating it up would help or what. But yeah, overall, accessories-wise, I think he's got a pretty good amount. You could swap this holster with the pistol in it for the empty one if you wanted to make it look like he pulled it out. Obviously, this doesn't really fit, but you could pretend. I think that's one of the like lasery pistol things that they have. But yeah, that sword looks so cool. Well, there you have it. That is the Blood Angels Veterans Laenatus. I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that correctly. From JoyToy. Now, I gotta say, this dude is a little more fiddly to pose than the just base Intercessor. And there are some designs of these Marines that look so painful to pose. Like, oh my gosh, I don't know if there's some that I might not try just because they look so difficult to pose. But this dude is pretty nice overall, aside from the, fiddly posing and just the odd things that these figures have. He's pretty nice. The joints feel a little more tight than my Intercessor came straight out of the box, so that is very good. The accessories all look really nice. That sword looks fantastic. Obviously, the shoulders are limiting, and you get kind of limited posing a little bit with this tabard in the middle. But I do like all the differences. I like how the thigh armor here comes with an attachment point. That's pretty nice. All the extra paintwork is nice. The paint is overall very well done. The wash feels a little bit more like an actual wash this time around and less like highlighting, kind of like this dude. It still looks really nice, but it's definitely more messy in some areas, particularly around the belt, and you saw the globs up there. And then the smell is a little odd. I don't remember my English has stopped working. My Ultramarine smelling like that right out of the box. So that's a little odd. But I do think these guys look pretty fantastic side by side. I'd like to get an Imperial Fists figure next, since that's kind of the three major factions that JoyToy has made. Although I think there's the black ones coming soon, so maybe I'll do that. Having different colors of the guys will be cool. Overall, though, pretty nice. So let's talk about the price. The price for this guy on Big Bad Toy Store was like $41, I think, roughly. And, that feels pretty fair, especially because he's got some more accessories than this dude. And this dude was also around $40. He's got more going on in general. More paintwork, more extra sculpted bits. So 40 feels fair to me. Higher, 50 maybe max, but some of the veterans are like almost $100. Some of the other like special Marine figures are almost $100. That does not feel worth it to me. Maybe for some of you guys who are Warhammer fans who really are into it, they are more worth it. But $40 feels fair for these figures because they are decent quality, but they definitely, so they're a step up from, you know, Black Series and anything you'll find on the store shelves, but they do feel maybe a step down from something like, say, Figma. Just my opinion, just some of the ways that they do things, some of the softer plastics that they use, some of the molding, it just feels slightly under. So I would say that 40 feels quite fair for this. I wouldn't pay much more than that. Not bad. Not bad. And like I said, I do like how these guys look next to each other. Oh, I realized I forgot to kind of show how the head moves. If you weren't aware, he just can move basically all around, and you can kind of double joint the base slightly so he can get plenty of poses. Essentially, the head is really not limited at all. So yeah, if you want to get this guy for yourself, I will put the link to him in the description, in the pinned comment, and you guys can get it there. If I see people commenting, asking where did I get this, well, I'm just going to tell you to watch the video. And then just, you know, for anybody who's a Warhammer fan, if I have said things incorrectly in this video, please, by all means, let me know in the comments down below, and I will keep that in mind for the next time that I look at one of these figures. One final note before we end this video. That gasoline smell, I am pretty darn sure is coming from the wash, because you can see around the belt where it was all globbed up. I tried wiping at it, and it actually came right off, which doesn't look the best. I'm going to have to do a little bit of my own weathering there. But that just makes me go, what the heck did they do with this weathering exactly? Like, that doesn't look very good. And the smell is just really off-putting. So hopefully the entire wash isn't going to come off, but I do think that is weird, and it's not something I had an issue with my first JoyToy figure. So I don't really know. I don't know. Did they do a different wash just because this is a red figure and they wanted to dull the color down more, or what? But it certainly seems to not have stuck to the softer plastic. Luckily, that's the only spot that has it. But yeah, that's something to look out for. It's not really ideal at all. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.